Welcome to the Six Figure Flipper Podcast, where we broadcast weekly interviews with real estate investors from around the globe to empower you on your wealth building journey ahead. Here's your host, Matty A.
Welcome back to another episode of the Six Figure Flipper. I'm your host, as always, Matty A. So we got a great guest for you guys today. We're sticking on the theme of multifamily investing, of syndication, of passive income. And that's what we cover, all different topics on this show, because at the end of the day, there's so many different ways you can make money in real estate. And the ones that make you the most money when you don't have to do as much work is multifamily. And so this is a conversation, a topic that we're going to be continuing to have. But this week, I got a great guest that is really going to piggyback off of Bruce Peterson from last week. If you didn't check out that episode, go ahead and listen to it. But this week I got Vinney Chopra, and Vinney has an absolutely amazing story. Vinney came to the U.S. from India with just $7 in his pocket. He sold encyclopedias and Bibles door to door as a student. He graduated from George Washington University and became a mechanical engineer. And he was in this space for a really long time. And so this is a perfect story of somebody who actually in his second career is just blown it out of the water. So if you're somebody who's in a job right now and you're looking for a transition, you're looking at real estate as being, a vehicle to doing that as for financial freedom, or maybe you're already in the space, but you might be in an area of real estate that you're maybe not ultimately as passionate about. I know when I was a realtor, that wasn't the end game for me, right? Real estate investing was the vehicle that was going to unlock financial freedom and the lifestyle and the fun and everything else that I envisioned. And Vinney is a perfect example of this being an absolute possibility for anybody having no previous experience in multifamily to really crushing it in multifamily. And as multifamily syndication really became something that he wanted to focus on, he now, over 26 years, has syndicated over $200 million worth of real estate funding. He's a consultant. He's a motivational speaker. This guy has all kinds of energy. He's hilarious. And like I said last week, they don't call him Smiley for no reason. His energy is just infectious, but he's brilliant. And this guy executes at a really high level. He's given over 10,000 speeches, seminars, fundraising events. He's just a positive person that I know you guys are going to love having in your earbuds today or in your radio today. So with that being said, this month's free guide, before we dive in, if you haven't downloaded the Run Your Rehab Like a Pro guide, which shows you how to find contractors, write out scope of works, map out your entire construction process, you name it from start to finish for running a successful rehab, whether it's on your own personal residence, whether it's for a client and you just want to know how to do it, whether it's for a specific project that you're involved in, whether it's a flip, whether it's a buy and hold that you're fixing up and putting a tenant in, understanding how to run a very intelligent, very seamless and streamlined process on rehabbing is important. Right? So this is a guide that's available for you guys for free. All you got to do is text the word like a pro, no spaces, to 44222, or just go to mattaitchison.com, hit the products page, and you'll see all kinds of free downloads, the mentors guide, like a pro, top 25 resources. I mean, you name it. We got all kinds of book lists, stuff in there for you. So go check out mattaitchison.com on the products page, and you'll be able to download more free stuff there. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into today's episode with Vinney Chopra, talking multifamily investing, talking passive income, talking overcoming obstacles, syndicating money, raising money, you name it. We're covering it in today's episode. Let's get it going. Oh man, I'm excited for this interview. Welcome in, Mr. Vinney Chopra.
Hey, Matty. How are you, bud?
Oh, man.
Good to see you. I'm so glad to be on your show.
It's good to see you too, brother. It wasn't too long ago. We were hanging out in Steamboat, Colorado, masterminding on building wealth in not only real estate, but just building wealth in a lot of areas of life. And
Sure.
I just told you, your energy, your desire to give, and your ability to execute and go out and make awesome shit happen is just something that I think I really admire about you, and everybody I talk to admires about you. So for those that are listening today, you got a treat here. Everybody calls him Smiley. If you're watching this video, you know why. But for those that don't know who Vinney is, which I can't imagine that many people don't know who you are, give us a little bit of a backdrop on who you are, what you do, and what you're up to right now.
Totally, Matt. Again, this is a humble man from India. I came into this country, I think I was in the early 20s. That's about 40 years back. I'm a mechanical engineer from India in heavy fabrication master planning. I worked in Larsen Toubro in Bombay. Then I did not get a visa. Can you believe it? I got acceptance from George Washington University, but it took me 9 tries to go to the consulate and convince them to give me a visa so that I could come to USA. So I never give up.
I was going to say, there's one lesson right there that you'll learn about Vinney is the guy's relentless. When he has a goal in mind, he goes out and makes it happen. So you came over and started studying.
I came for my master's in business administration. I always felt like mechanical engineering and marketing will be a great combination. I always, wanted to aspire in life and have big goals and all. I said, if I joined them together, it's going to make me reach my goals faster. But little did I know, I sold Bibles and encyclopedias outside Atlanta and in Virginia and in South Carolina 3 summers while going to school at George Washington. And it changed my life. I said, man, I don't want to sit in the desk. I don't want to look at these diagrams anymore.
So your engineering, your initial engineering background became something where you knew it was a skill set, but it wasn't your passion.
That's so true. I always wanted to be an engineer. I grew up breaking toys and joining together and making railroads. And, I remember a lot of different things, a shoebox, projectors and all those things, and I was very fascinated with, making things fly and things like that anyway. But once I came here to USA, it just changed my outlook. I was more outgoing person, I think. I had big accent. I still have accent, and people will say, what are you saying? Come on in, I'll knock on the door and people will say, oh yeah, come on in. Okay, let's tell me what's it all about, and made a lot of good friends. I sold in Augusta, Georgia, James Brown's house. I still remember that.
You sold a Bible to James Brown,
Yeah,
huh?
I think so. Moni Kilpatrick comes to my mind, and she was a wonderful lady, and she bought like 7 sets of the children books I was selling. And she said, how are you going to deliver these books? I said, I don't know. I was walking, I didn't have any money. I came into this country with $7 in my pocket.
Wow.
That's all I had, and so she says, I'm going to give you my van. I said, what? She says, yeah, you see that van out there? For 2 weeks, I'm going to give it to you. No charge, no nothing, no paperwork. And she get, in Austell, Georgia. I still remember that.
Wow.
So people are great people around you, and you give back. And that really taught me a lot of good lessons, being, giving and generous, and also having the right attitude. And just, and we were working like 80 hours a week at that time as students, in the shorts going all the way around. And, then in the 6 days a week, of course, we worked. And made some good money. And this is a very nice company out of Tennessee that works with college students, about 4,000 of them every year. They started in 1855.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you were doing this and you were learning. So you went from engineering to kind of doing a little bit of sales, right? And getting face to face with some people. What was the next step of your professional journey kind of as you were progressing through that phase?
Good point. I always wanted to, again, scripts are so important. Role playing is so important. That's what I understood right there at tender age of 22, 23, that we need to not just blow everything from the heart. We got to have a script, what we're going to be discussing in front of the client, a customer. and then treating that customer right to build that establishing relationship, but then sharing our story enthusiastically. I think enthusiasm is the word that I captured way early in, and being a positive attitude, not to worry about what's behind the door. We used to call it Mrs. Jones, So don't worry about who is behind the door, but knock on it, and then you handle the situation,
I love it.
So this is very similar in what we do in sales.
Yep. So you got this early exposure and experience, and when you were, have you always been this positive person, or was there like a mentor or a book or a leader, who exposed you to this way of thinking? Because your mindset, your energy, your enthusiasm, you walk your talk every day, but has it always been that way?
Thank you, Maddie. No, it was not. My friends tell me engineering school, that I was goal driven. I would write things down. I always wanted to get things done quicker and faster and systematically. That's all I remember. But I think I'm shaped in USA through the books I've read last 40 years or more. And I have invested always 500, whenever, even I didn't have money, I would buy these CDs and books, the Jim Rohn and the Charlie Tremendous Jones and Og Mandino and W.J. Schwartz, Magic of Thinking, Napoleon Hill, Tony Robbins.
All the original gangsters in the personal development space.
You got it. I kept on buying maybe 400 or 500 books. I will write a date on every book, the day I buy it, because that way I'll sign on it on the first or second page and write the date. Because then I wanted to see how many times I've gone back to the book and what I've learned from it.
That's awesome. I love that. That's a really cool tip right there, is to get a book. If you're, a lot of people are into the audiobooks and the podcasts and the digital stuff, but if you have a physical book, to write a date on when you got it, write a date when you go back to it, right? I love that, to kind of keep you connected, and those lessons, those things you extract out of it. Very cool lesson there.
Totally, Matty. And also, in my other fundraising career, which I became a promotional consultant, by the way, after selling books, I said, I got to get a real job now, right?
You're right.
Or the country will deport me, right? As in 1 year, they say you get a job or you are sent back to India. So I try to find out, okay, who's going to hire me now, right?
Right.
So I started a $10,000 straight commission job, $10,000 in 1 year, working so hard. You get paid $10,000, draw against commission, and that's what I started. And lo and behold, I was with that company for 37 years.
Wow. So was this a corporate type company?
Corporate type company. And I was working in Ohio for about 2.5 years. They made me leader. I was a failure, by the way. I want to talk about that. I was a big failure when I went from the book selling days. I was like top salesperson, I got a lot of awards and trophies. Like every week they would give trophies, right? Because they want to keep these students motivated.
Yeah, right.
And then I was smiling a lot, and they just changed one of the trophy I got maybe second or third week out. It said Vinod or Vinney, in parenthesis, Smile Chopra. They took the Kumar out, my middle name. And I said, holy cow, hey, what happened?
I got my first nickname.
Yeah. I did. That's 40 years back it happened. Wow. And I kind of liked it. Then everybody said, Vinny, you smile a lot. My wife says that I smile even in my sleep. So
that's great.
But, if I don't smile, if I'm kind of serious, it pains my jaws now. So
it's against your natural disposition to be too serious, right? But let's talk about that, because you're in a space now where, we're talking some serious numbers, some serious game here. And you still find a way to infuse your personality and your spirit into everywhere you go. And that's, I think, one of your superpowers in your business as well. So you were at that consulting job for 37 years, and then You
I
moved,
retired.
you
I
retired.
retired in 2015. About 3 years back, I retired. But I do want to confess that it was a consulting job. You're on your own. You're running your own operation. I was moved out to the Bay Area near San Francisco 38 years back. Actually, today is our anniversary. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Wedding anniversary. I went to the flower shop and got my wife a great bouquet and card and everything.
Still spitting game 40 years later.
You got it. 38. We've been married 38, and then we have been here. We have two very nice children. Neil is 34. He went to Berkeley, IT guy, and as a senior manager with the Uber. And then also our daughter went to UCLA and did MBA, and she's in our business now in real estate.
That's amazing. So let's talk about your business now, because what you've covered, the ground you've covered and what you've accumulated from 2015 to now is amazing. And it's inspiring, right? You're a perfect example of, whether it's coming over with $7 in your pocket or retiring after 37 years and jumping into a second career that you're absolutely destroying it at. I want to talk about what led you to real estate investing as this, second career.
Surely, we were buying single family homes every time we saved some money later on in our life in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. We kept on buying single family home, and they were nice. We will have the property management company take care of them. But then if they needed a boiler or if they needed something and, the tenant left and then so forth, boy, that made a big dent in the total cash flow.
Yep.
So taxation was okay, and so forth. But then when I became broker in 2004, I just had to do something different. I said, I want to scale up. That's about 14 years back, Matty. And then, I said, okay, let me look into selling commercial leasing, office space.
Yeah. So you were kind of putting your feelers out and exploring and researching, like what areas do I really want to kind of sink my teeth in?
Exactly. Hospitality, hotel, all that, right? Industrial, you name it.
Yep.
I'm the kind of guy as a researcher, I like to really dig into the stuff and then make my mind. I even spent $10,000 luxury home something selling kind of seminar auction in Vancouver. Spent $5,000 to just go check it out,
Yep.
And I told my wife, it's not our cup of tea. I'm not going to worry about it. 10,000 is gone. It's a seminar, like Radcliffe says,
Yep.
But then I came across multifamily in 2005. A friend of mine from Chicago said, Vinny, have you heard about Dave Lindahl? I said, no, who is Dave Lindahl? Anyway, back then, 2004, 5, he was the name. He was the guy from Boston. And I just, my thinking is, go to Google right away.
Go to the top dog, right?
Go to the top dog, And I Googled him. I read about him. I ordered 2 books of him from Amazon, I think. And rest is history. I was reading it and I was highlighting every page. It was like yellowed out. I liked it so much what he covered in those books, emerging markets and the multifamily millions or something. I said, holy cow, I need to find out if he has got a course, a home study course, because I was actually working with the company at that time, remember?
Right. Yep.
So I did motivation speaking and outgoing things with different organizations, repeat business, a lot of repeat business. I had my own systems, my own helpers, who were also doing my back in the background.
So you got a lot of leverage at this stage.
Leverage, time-wise,
Yep.
So I never really see myself watching too much TV or things like that. I don't like to look at negative things that much. I like to just, use my power of listening in the car. I call it Automobile University.
Automobile University. I've never heard that. That's good. That's a Vinnyism right there.
So Automobile University is amazing. So I told everybody I had sometimes 39 people reporting to me one time in the whole region. I gave them these CD cases and wrote Automobile University, gave them some motivational CDs and asked them to put more into it.
I love it.
That's the key, because it's so sad that, many times we are going from point A to point B and we are listening to this talk show or something, but we are not concentrating to really get positive feedback in our mind, and then talking about the client we're going to see or a prospect and rehearsing it, in our mind, how we're going to do the presentation, what objections they're going to have, and how I'm going to reply back, all those things.
Right.
So that's so important. And that helped me a lot over the years when I was doing my selling and motivation speaking. And I'm a systems guy all my life. So I try to build systems around things so that I can get job done quicker, faster. And then I believe in action, massive action. Like Power of Now, Richard Tolley's book.
Yep.
Amazing book. How to Control Your Time, Control Your Life by Alan Lenkins. A lot of those are coming to my mind right now. And then I bought a lot of these CDs and DVDs, of course. Nowadays, my best friends are two friends, and that's his Google and then YouTube. YouTube, by the way. You don't have to buy much now.
It's so true. So you had some leverage in your business at that time. You found kind of Dave Lindahl, and you were starting to educate yourself on the multifamily. What was it about multifamily after doing all this research that kept you coming back of going, I think this is a space that I want to invest in. I want to put my time and energy into becoming an expert in this space.
I love it. What you just said. Maddie, what happened was we were buying single family homes. I had to pay so many, the contractors and everything to take care of my properties. And if they needed some work, they will charge me 300 here, 200 there, 400 here, So the cash flow was not coming about it. What I learned in the multifamily in 2005 was scalability. It was like, how would you have 20 homes in one lot, like these are 20 units apartment, for example, and there are 3 buildings, or 2 buildings, or whatever. And then you have only 2 roofs to change. You don't have to change as many boilers. You only need 1 boiler, not 20 boilers. And you can also, project it so that you could actually get a lot more rent, because 20 families are there, 100% occupancy. Right. But if 5 leave, you still have 15 more that are going to pay you. Rather than with the single family home, if somebody leaves, you have to make ready the house. You lose 1 or 2 months of rent, and it's 0 occupancy.
Right.
So those things really caught my attention. I'm an engineer. So I said, oh my gosh, that just makes sense. Totally sense. And then, of course, depreciation, and of course, it's one transaction, because if you're buying 20 units or 200 units, it's only one transaction of the sales contract, due diligence team. Loan is only one, and then you have one tax return, rather than all these different 20 or 100, houses all around.
Right.
And then I also looked at the flipping business too, by the way. Mm-hmm. I want to mention that. I started buying homes in the 80s and doing lease options on them, by the way, back in the 80s.
Smart man.
Thank you. In Phoenix, we just bought properties. We bought all around, and California, we bought even like a big 1 acre of land with 4 homes on it. And our vision was to move the homes and build an apartment complex there, So always thinking, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you decided that, okay, multifamily is kind of the thing that checked all the boxes for you, right? And it does. It makes total sense of, it's built-in insulation. It minimizes your risk in a lot of capacities if you do it right, correct?
It does. It does, and then I hear now from so many podcasters who were in the single family home back then, and also flipping and wholesaling, and I was in multifamily. And when the crash came in 2007 and 8, it didn't hurt. The multifamily industry, that was the one that the lenders were still lending. So how I learned was actually I just Googled again and found eBay, a small home course for $400 from Dave Lindahl.
I love it. So you take us back to that first deal of when you were, okay, this is my space. I feel pretty educated. Lead us up to how you found that first deal and kind of just how you got the confidence to pull the trigger.
I love it. Again, what we started doing was, okay, let's get a team together, because we got 2 people together, my partner and I, and then we got a couple of more people. But right now, I would like to tell everybody who's listening to me, don't get too many people in the pot.
Not too many cooks in the kitchen?
Cooks in the kitchen, too many. And then some are not doing nothing. Only 1 or 2 are doing everything, So that way, it's a good lesson to learn. And then also don't take them to boot camps like I did. We spent about $160,000. Can you believe taking 8 people there or 7 people there to the camps and boot camps and all? But let's talk about first deal. Now, it took us a long time to get that first deal, by the way, 14 units. 14 only units we got.
And what market was this in?
It was actually, you're not going to believe this one. This is around 2007 and 8. Everything is crashing, right? And then we said, okay, everything is crashing. Where should we go? Not in California, right? We live in the Bay Area. We said, okay, let's look at the statistics of where the unemployment is the least. So we came across some different cities in America, smaller cities, not the big ones. And Odessa and Midland, can you believe it? Came on the top, number one. If you go back to 2007-8, you will find them right there. The rig count was strong, the jobs were great, and then the unemployment was 3.24%. And it was 9, 10, 11% all over, even 20% in some cities, So that's when we started. Now, we didn't know anything where to go. So we started with LoopNet, of course, and now I teach and say, don't buy anything from, sometimes you find some things in LoopNet, but not too good ones.
And for those that aren't familiar with LoopNet, what is LoopNet?
Oh, LoopNet actually is like realtors.com is for residential. LoopNet.com or .net is for commercial.
Yeah, LoopNet is the commercial database like the MLS is for single family.
Single family, like Realtor or Zillows and all, and Trillia. No, the other one I was mentioning was CoStar.
Yep.
Bought now, LoopNet, and now they charge arm and a leg, to get that, of course, But I try to deal with my brokers, and I'd love to share with you, my brokers are my friends. They already subscribe to it, so why should I subscribe? I'm a cheaper there.
There you go. So you started looking for some opportunities in those markets through LoopNet.
And then we got in touch with some brokers. The key thing is to build the relationship with the broker, because they had to sell us and my team and everybody and me and all to the seller, because the banks were not loaning us any money. So we came to a big hurdle, and it took 3-4 months. We went through lender after lender. They will ask us, are you going to move to Texas? We said, no, we are over here to own and all that stuff, right? But then we said, why don't we get the seller to finance? So that is one nugget I'd like to talk about today, seller financing. You bet. So seller financed it, that deal, we bought 109 units also right after that. And we were able to buy 14 units on Monday. We closed it. It took us 6 months to do all that work. Can you believe? Now we can close like this, But the 109 units and 101 storage units, we closed on that Friday. that also was working simultaneously. It just worked, and all the fruits came together after so many hurdles we passed and things like that.
I love it. So what are some of those challenges, those first challenges that you ran into on that first deal that maybe you didn't know you were going to run into or just weren't expecting?
Totally. I will, definitely say persistence pays. Of course, the negative feeling, negativism from the family.
Ah,
We always come across that, I mean, they say, oh, no, it's not going to work. And your friends say it's not going to work. And everybody says it doesn't work
right.
unless you feel that you are going to make it work. It will not work.
That's so true. I think a lot of new investors, that's probably one of the largest hurdles that you go up against, right? Is the other people in your life who haven't done what you're trying to do project their fear, their insecurities, their doubts onto you. And you really got to be careful of that. So I love that you brought that up, because I think that's probably one of the biggest mental hurdles to get over as a new investor, is when you don't, have those doubts in yourself, right? Which we all do at some stage of the game. On top of that, having family and friends and coworkers and everybody else stack up on that can be something that keeps a lot of people from ever taking action. I hear this question a lot, and I'm curious what your feedback is on this in regards to how much money do you need to get started in multifamily, right? And because a lot of people think that they have to have all this money stacked away. How much money do you need ideally, and let's just say at a bare minimum, to just get going?
I would say zero.
That's the answer I was looking for. Tell us more. Why?
That's how we started, Matty. It's amazing. I think we put $1,000 total. I put maybe 500 and my partner put 500 or something like that. And then we just got our vision to talk to people around us. And then, we were going to some boot camps also. We met other like-minded people.
Right.
And then we shared our story, our vision with them. They caught on. And then they were able to invest 50,000 and 25,000 and 65,000, So it's the OPM, other people's money.
Yep.
That is the world we are living in. And that's what I would love your audience to think about. That there is so much money around there. It's amazing, amazing. And a lot of people are putting that money under the pillow or in the bank and losing money. Inflation is 2.5% and they are getting paid 0.15 or 0.100, whatever, and the CDs maybe 2% and, maybe 6% or so average in the stock market. Real estate is the one place where they can make great money. And that's what we give. We've been giving for my 26 syndications I've done so far, by the way. 12 of them have been in my new company, Monil Investment Group, that we started 3 years back only. Wow. We have 67 employees in that one right now. And then we are crushing it. I mean, we have bought close to 2,000 units in just 3 years right there. And then this is all word of mouth that has started our business through the investors going to the mailbox every quarter. We don't do it monthly returns. We do quarterly because I like to give bigger checks, and we do it by bill pay through Wells Fargo. Mm-hmm. Never written a check in the last 11 years. Never, ever. And then it just goes straight to their mailbox. And I do presentations every quarter on the quarter. Last 11 years, I've been doing it with the PowerPoint presentations, live meeting, just like this. We record the session and answer every question and everything, and we send it to our investors. So through newsletters, keeping track and making them feel special, that's the name of the game,
That's beautiful, man. And that's obviously a reason why you haven't had trouble funding all of your syndications, right? I mean, I think you shared this with me not too long ago. Yeah. You've raised a pretty crazy amount of money. How much money? How much money
in 8 hours? 6 million in 8 hours.
$6 million in 8 hours. And obviously there was an accumulation up to that point, but that just shows how intentional you've been about building the right relationships, building the right track record, and putting the right deals in front of people, right?
Totally. This is like my package going in the morning on Saturday morning, I mean, I did warm them up. I always do. You have to pre-sell, right?
Yeah, of
You're going to
course.
pre-sell everybody.
Hey,
You got
you,
to
you
pre-sell
didn't sell a
yourself.
Bible to James Brown on accident, right? You learned how to
No.
sell, brother.
But the thing is, you got to be always thinking ahead. With the prospects also, we need to soften them up. We need to send them newsletters and gifts and make sure that they are ready and they're in a frame of mind so that they feel like you're their friend, which is true. You have the integrity and the transparency. They will do business with you. And that's what happened with me. From one investor, I had zero investor. I sat in the living room and he asked me questions and I gave him the right answers. He says, have you done this multifamily before? I said, no. He says, are you going to move to Texas? I said, no. He says, do you have a loan? I said, no. I just told him, no, 7 times. Then after a little while, he says, I'll take a chance on you. That's the word he said.
It's interesting because a lot of people, they say, yeah, I look at the deal, but I invest in the operator, right? I invest in the person, the individual.
So true.
So that just shows you is, yes, absolutely. You got to have a great deal and a great opportunity that people are interested in and can see the vision that you're painting of what you can get them. But at the end of the day, you better show up at a damn high level too, which is something that you're really good at, right?
Thank you. I mean, that's how I feel. And the thing is, rest is history. From that one friend of mine, I'm able to now crush it. I think he's told that story to so many people.
That's awesome.
Is in business and in his contacts and in the parties. And I didn't even know those people, but they will call me, Vinny, we heard this. We want to, now he's got like millions of dollars with me. And his friends do also, who opened their wallet for 50,000. They have 400, 500, 700,000 into my several deals, And then we have sold 10 also. Out of 26, we have sold 10 and given back returns of 18 to 26% back per year. That's per year returns.
Yeah, I don't know too many people that are getting those kind of returns elsewhere, right? So of course they're going to keep coming back and giving you more. Hey, go get me some more of those returns.
That's the thing. So that's where we have been able to do it. And it works well because if you're able to have the transparency, keep educating your clients and let them know we send out the gifts around Thanksgiving every year. We value them. And whenever they send us a question or email, we are replying right away within an hour. We have a very nice portal now, updatecapital.com, where our investors can log in with and they see all their investments and how much they've been paid to that quarter right there by each property's pictures, their, financials are there, their K1s are there, all the different stories are there. And then we try to educate them every single time. New articles come where their assets are, very upbeat articles, we send it to them, so those kind of things.
So
I would love to mention something about mindset. The thing is, I think because you have so many of your audience in sales, in real estate sales, as you know, we got to look at every prospect walking into the door as a 40,000 commission prospect, if I may say that. 40,000, maybe you will make only 4,000 only one time from them, but the positive experience they're going to have, they're going to tell so many more people. Their relatives, their friends, their children, all that. And that 4,000 is going to be 10x or 20x with the relationships you build. So that is one thing which has stayed in my mind always. I read a book, I'm trying to remember. Oh my gosh, walk like a giant and sell like a madman or something. This one realtor from Michigan was selling 500 homes a year. Sitting in office in Michigan, he was selling all over USA. I just couldn't believe that, and that really stuck with me so much in my life. So always I felt like sell in bunches and be transparent and always look at a client as not one client, but 40 times or
I
20 times.
I love that. I think it's a brilliant mindset to know that, you know, don't be short-sighted, right? I mean, one, the investing
No.
space is small. Once you get into it and play it at a high level, you realize how small it is of top performers and elite performers.
Right.
But on top of that,
Right.
you got to understand that that one person, one might become an ambassador for you. And like you said, if they have a great experience, they're going to go tell 20 people. If they have a bad experience, they're going to go tell 50 people. Right. So
Exactly.
you want to make that person a raving fan, an advocate.
Totally.
And I want to commend you and highlight, you know, for those that are listening, that you have the business, the front end of the business really dialed in, of finding opportunities, having relationships with brokers, keeping that stuff coming in the door. But you also have the important responsibility of retention of your investors, right? Because without them, it doesn't really matter how many opportunities are coming in. You don't have any way to fund those things, right? So
Exactly.
you have the outbound and the, you know, the sales side of things, but then you have more of the back end operational side and the customer service side, which is almost just as critical. If not, I mean, you could argue both are equally as important, because that's what keeps the business, the ecosystem going round, correct?
I 100% agree with you, Matt. You know, I mean, that is so true, because if we just have that vision as a CEO of the company and all the teams and vice presidents and everybody, you got to paint that vision of client. Like I always look at, it's the residents are gold. That's number one in rental business. Residents mission. I have mission statement for them. I have investors are gold. They are the number two right there. If they don't bring the money to the closing table, we have nothing.
Right.
Then my team members are gold. You know, our employees are gold. And then we come, the fourth one is we come at the end, you know, my company and so forth, my family. But having that vision board for everybody. And, you know, I'm 65, and I've always believed in life to be 30, 30, 30 rather than 25, 25, 25. So the first 30, we always really get the degrees and get the education and get into a job. Next 30 up to 60, we get the family started, and, you know, we're getting growing in business more, making more money. And then, of course, you know, the next 30, which is from 60 to 90, a lot of people retire. And I believe that we should never retire. I really believe that we need to stimulate our mind on a daily basis. I'm 66. I'll be 66 in August, but I am so fired up for the next 25 years. I'm telling you.
I love it.
I feel like life has just started for me.
That's so exciting, man. And I have no doubt that it is, because that's what you believe, you know, and just going back to how powerful the mind is, right? I mean, it's funny when people start saying I'm old, their body and their mind usually follow suit. Same thing.
It does.
You know, it's funny. You ask people, there's a book called Blue Zones, and it's all about this guy who's studying centurions, right? People who have lived beyond 100 years old. And there were a lot of trends and common themes in that book. But one of the things was just the overall mindset and belief of these people in their hundreds still thought, felt, acted, you know, mindset wise, like they were in their early 20s, in their prime, you know, and I just think that's such a cool characteristic to apply forward. And so I'm excited, brother, for your next 30, and shoot, where technology's at, you might be on your next 30 after that too.
Don't know. But I know the world is going to change a lot with the driverless cars. I know we had a little mishap over there, but you know, with the Teslas and the Ubers, and you know, a lot more changes are coming in our lifetime.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now and some of the changes that are happening in the market, and what your thoughts are, how you're, you know, maybe positioning yourself based on what you're seeing. What, you know, I know you don't have a crystal ball and it's a tough question to ask, but based on your gut, your experiences, some of the stuff that you're tracking, what is your overall feel on the market, and what is your, you know, outlook on the next few years based on what you're seeing right now?
I would love to. Matt, again, you know, I believe, and again, it's the norm out there in the marketplace. Everybody is looking at the statistics. Millennials are increasing in number, and so are we. the baby boomers,
Yep.
50s and 55s and older. So the millennials are liking portability quite a lot.
Yep.
Portability in the sense that they want to be in communities, B plus communities with amenities there, with the gyms, very beautiful gyms with cafes, and then recreational, of course, swimming pools and all that, sauna, all those good things, and then also dog parks and a lot of things, because they don't want to mow the lawns with their own single family homes and things like. So the trend is changing.
Right.
That's
The
one thing we
American
are
dream
finding.
is different, right?
It is getting a little bit differently, and we got to accept that because that's where the population is going. They like the portability. I just had an article just yesterday I sent to my mastermind group about yesterday. It was regarding the portability and working telecommuting. Huge telecommuting, now working from the office, working from the home kind of discussion. And then the baby boomers are also now downsizing, so they are also going into senior communities and rent. So multi-family, which the world I've been living in for the last 14 years, 15 years, I believe that your audience should really invest into multifamily. Could be duplex, could be fourplex, could be eightplex, 12plex, 20plex, 100plex, 200plex. The thing is, they should be getting a hold of and investing in those. And there are a lot of places in USA, they are emerging. I call it emerging, where population is coming in. When jobs are coming into an area, we call them emerging, right? Emerging markets. And I have an ebook on it also on my website, which I will mention it in a little while. People can get it for free. And then let's just think about scalability. Let's get, that money we are saving, let's put it into multifamily and get the constant passive income coming in.
Love it. So where are some of those emerging markets based on what you're seeing? Because I totally agree. I think.
Oh my gosh, lots of places. If we go from the West Coast, I'm near San Francisco. It's hard to make numbers work for cash flow in the Bay Area,
Right.
But Sacramento is emerging. Madera is emerging. All the way Bakersfield is emerging right there. Los Angeles, Seattle, Boise, Idaho. That's I'm kind of saying here. Las Vegas is emerging. Salt Lake City, Denver is kind of gone up, in value. But Colorado Spring, I will say yes, over there, you could still buy product, kind of good, reasonable product in the multifamily. Then we go to Provo, Utah. Then we go down to Texas. I mean, there are people, Dallas is kind of high, but outside Dallas, it's again emerging. Fort Worth, Odessa, Midland, 41% increase in rent.
Wow.
Just in the last 2017, Midland, Odessa. Look at that. Midland and Odessa area is coming back again. It gone down and now it's coming back again. Houston is emerging. I bought 10 assets in Houston in the last 2.5 years. Then 2 in Atlanta. Atlanta is emerging. Outside Atlanta, North Carolina, South Carolina, Columbus, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Chicago. I mean, all these places,
they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. I didn't mention about Orlando. I love Orlando. Jacksonville. I love Jacksonville. You name it, Pittsburgh.
So for the new investor that maybe wants to get started, where do you recommend they get started?
Okay. I would highly recommend. My biggest thing I teach in my courses, which I don't do. I'm not a coach. I just have been crushing it, and some people follow me now. About 700 of them around USA follow me.
I was going to say, don't be so modest there.
No, but the thing is, the idea behind the whole thing is you got to start wherever you can, save money, and buy that duplex or fourplex. And go into a market where you have some connections. Maybe some relative is living by there. Look in your backyard first. Within an hour or 2 hours, if you can find a duplex, go to LoopNet. I mean, the place to go to LoopNet is to find out who is who are the brokers?
Right.
Who are the brokers
who's got
who
the
are
inventory?
listing 2 units, 4 units? Yeah, exactly. You get their name, their company's name, then you go to their company on the website. Everything is on the website, nothing else, and then you look for the reports if that area is good or bad. And then you go for, finding deals in realtor.com, in their Craigslist, Zillows, all that. So it will take some time. But then don't be shy. If you don't have money, you don't need much money at all. You should be able to look at buying this fourplex seller financing. These might be older folks who have owned it, but they don't want to maintain it at all. You can even take a master lease on it, not even paying any money. You just pay them $1,000, get a master lease to run the property. And then you make the cash flow, and then they get their mortgage or whatever, like that. Yeah, and a little extra on it. So there are creative ways to do it. But I would highly recommend everybody to, really go for multifamily, triplex, fourplex, eightplex, 16plex. Of course, when I say 70 minimum units apartment, because then you can get a full-time manager who would be living in your apartment, and they can collect the rents and they can look after the people. And you can also have a maintenance person too. Look at your stay at the apartment. You give them half the month rent free. We do those things, in our communities, Monil communities. Monil is our kids' name, Monica and Neil. We combined the two to make it Monil.
That's great.
No, please.
That's an awesome place for people to start, right? Is to kind of, I call it get in the batter's box, right? It's like the only way to feel out the pitcher and see what he's throwing at you in order to figure out how you can hit it and get on base and get around the bases and score runs is to do what? You got to get in the batter's box first, right?
Exactly. To win the lottery, you got to buy the lottery, right?
That's right.
You got to be in the game to win it. I know a lot of people are saying, market-wise, there is a correction coming. I mean, we had little correction in the stock market, as you know. Yep. But again, it's flying high again, I mean, there is some adjustment is going to come in real estate also. But I know for sure, just like the crash of 2008 and 7 and all, the multifamily survived much better, because as if the correction comes, economy goes down, the rental demand goes up. Because if the foreclosures came and some people couldn't afford the home, they'll have to move to rental, see? So those things, those parameters are really gearing up, for us to focus in multifamily.
I love it.
And then we should also be thinking about, always try to make a list of people who have money in your relatives, in your friends, and everybody. In my case, I did a little differently. None of my friends in Danville area or San Ramon know what I do. We know about 150 families. We get together with them. They think that Vinney's got few apartments, Nobody knows. But then my family, I made a decision not to take a dime from them to invest, because I didn't want to face them if I lost them, the money. So I have zero money. I have zero money from my friends and family. So I just built my relationship with the investors across the nation on Zoom meetings and Skype and phone calls and FaceTime. It's amazing, and then some belly to belly I did in the early stage, where we'll buy the lunch for them, bring them into a restaurant, and then I do my song and dance, the PowerPoint presentation and everything, and tell them. It was mostly educational, and that's what the SEC ruling is. You cannot tell about the deal with the people who are sophisticated people, we call it, not accredited. Accredited, you could advertise to them, they could come into your deal just like that. But if you want to do it, sophisticated people, we call it, non-accredited, you have to have a relationship built, So those things are there. And then the LLC structure. So in my course, I kind of teach, I've been kind of repeating so much. And I told my friends, I said, I have nothing more to say. So then about a year and a half back, my mastermind group who caught me on Bigger Pockets and other shows, Rod Cleef show, Michael Blank show, Joe Fairless show, Pat Eben's show, they called me and they said, Vinny, tell me this, tell me that. So I've been recording hundreds of hours now. And then now we have made an, academy, multifamily syndication academy, where people can get it for very, very less investment. I say it's not a cost. It is never a cost. It's a small investment of under $1,000. They get everything. Yeah.
And that's the $160,000 in years and years and years of education, lessons and experiences all packaged into one.
In one package, exactly. All my templates, all my worksheets, everything, which has cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even after that, like my business plan, I spent about $9,000-10,000 just on the business plan. My PowerPoint presentation, everything.
So for those
I just want a lot more people. Yeah, no, I want more people to really get into this and be successful, and be more successful than me.
Yep. 100% agree. I mean, that's the whole reason why I created the Six Figure Flipper, is because I just kept getting people asking all the time. And I was like, I'm really not that great. You guys can do this too, right? And you just need the system and the framework and the tools and resources and the community. So I can totally relate to that. And for those that want to learn more about the Multifamily Syndication Academy, we'll be sure to include that link in the show notes and in the show description, so you guys can check that out. Vinny, how can people check you out, brother? You're always up to amazing stuff. You're always giving back. You're always putting stuff out. How can we reach you?
Oh, thank you. Just in the last year, by the way, I never had a website either. 10 years back or 11 years back, I've been crushing it without the website, just word of mouth and all. But last year and a half, we have built a website. It's www.vinneychopra.com. That's V as in Victor, I-N-N-E-Y. There is a E in there. E-Y, Chopra, C-H-O-P-R-A, Chopra.com. And there I write blogs. Lots of great ebooks are there. Blogs are there. My 26 different podcast interviews are there that I've done so far. I have several more coming live, which I've been interviewed. And thank you to you, Matt, for inviting me from GoBundance. I really enjoyed meeting you, and what a tremendous energy you had. And then we met together. We traveled also in the van, I think, together.
Yeah, we had
so that was wonderful. Great bunch of people, really exciting, and one life fully lived. I'm so happy for Tim Road, and I'm planning to come up there, and we don't live too far. We got to meet together. But
yeah, well, we'll be getting together here real soon, and as always, we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to just give back, to pour into the community, to share your experiences and knowledge and wisdom, and most importantly, to share some of that energy, man, because every time I'm around you, I get fired up. I end up smiling a whole lot more, and it's infectious, brother. So I just wanted to thank you for who you are, how you show up, what you stand for, and for all those that want to connect with Vinny, be sure to check out the website, check out the course and community. We'll have all that stuff in the show description and the show notes. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the flip side.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, well, that does it for this week's interview. My man, Smiley, Vinney Chopra. That was a lot of fun. His energy just gets me fired up each and every time. I feel good every time I get done having a conversation with Vinny, and I feel inspired, right? We had Bruce last week. We had Vinny this week. A lot of talk about multifamily investing and the opportunities. You can see, right, what it's done for these guys, for their families, for their companies, for their employees, for their communities, and the beauty that it brings in passive income, the tool for freedom to go do what you want, when you want. Rentals, right? Passive income, cash flow is so critical, and the more doors you have under one roof, the better. And that's where syndication, that's where multifamily can really do some damage when it comes to your investing goals, when it comes to your retirement plan, when it comes to your lifestyle goals, right? So anybody that wants to check out more of what Vinny's up to, his multifamily academy, what his website has available, be sure to check out the links in the show notes or in the show description. If you're on YouTube right now, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We got these interviews coming out each and every week, as well as all kinds of tips and trainings and videos and tutorials on the website for real estate investing. If there's a particular comment, question that you have, feel free to drop that in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you got some value out of today's interview, and connect with me on all the other social media platforms where we can continue the conversation as well. Official Matty A on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to download your Like a Pro guide by texting Like a Pro 44222. Like a Pro to 44222, the Run Your Rehab Project Like a Pro guide. That's available for you. Or just go to mattaitchison.com, hit the products page, and you can see all kinds of other free downloads and resources that are available for you as well. Next week, we got a young hustler, a stud in Chicago that is 23 or 24 years old and is absolutely crushing it. Started investing in college while playing football full time. This guy's impressive. So you guys are going to definitely want to tune in next week and see what's possible no matter how young you are. No excuses. This guy's making it happen, and he's doing it in one of the biggest booming cities in all of the country, Chicago. So with that being said, I think we're done for this week. Be sure to check out the free real estate training webinar that's available to show you how to flip houses, make six figures your first year without any experience, limited time, and none of your own money to invest. We show you exactly how to do it from start to finish on this training, and I will be there to answer any of your questions live as well. All right, next week. Until then, I'll see you on the flip side.